Do you want to stay more focused on the right goals in your life, or even just figure out what the right goals are for you? Do you want clarity? Do you want better work-life balance? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Success Through Failure.
Welcome to the Success Through Failure podcast, the show that reveals failure as your path to success. You'll listen to intriguing interviews with some of the most successful people on the planet and learn how their failures became a launchpad for success and how yours can too. Here's your host, former Division I All-American wrestler, former Division I head coach, speaker, and personal coach, Jim Harshaw.
Welcome to another episode of Success Through Failure. Today, I bring you Diamond Dallas Page. Before I bring on my guest, I need to share something important. For years, I struggled to feel confident around the type of people that I spend much of my time with, successful people like millionaires, CEOs, leaders. Part of it was just mindset, but also part of it was how I looked. Look good, feel good, as the saying goes. And I didn't look good. I didn't have clothes that fit and made me feel confident. So I started buying expensive shirts, but then I had to get them tailored fit to me, an athletic build. Then I discovered a new shirt. It's not only designed by athletes for athletes, it's designed to fit an athlete's body type. And it's made of athletic material. It's like putting on your favorite workout shirt, but it's a business shirt. It's machine washable and it's wrinkle-free, which is totally a deal breaker for me. I hate high-maintenance clothing. And it looks better than my expensive shirts that I used to buy, and it even costs a little bit less. Now I feel just much more confident. I know that I'm wearing good-looking, well-fitted clothing that's designed to fit me. And if you want to see it, I shot a quick video of me opening my second shirt. Yes, I've now actually got 3 in my closet. But I show you the fabric and I show you the fit of this shirt. Just go to jimharshawjr.com/shirts. That's plural shirts with an S at the end. And grab a discount code for either free shipping or for 10% off. That's for my listeners. But jimharshawjr.com/shirts. And take a look for yourself. You can try one totally risk-free because it's free shipping for my listeners with that special discount code posted there at jimharshawjr.com/shirts. All returns, exchanges are free within 30 days, so there's absolutely zero risk to try one of these out. Again, jimharshawjr.com/shirts. This is my first time modeling clothing, so don't laugh. The shirt's awesome. My modeling skills, not so much. It's worth checking out the page just to see my bad modeling. So jimharshawjr.com/shirts. And yes, I am a former competitive wrestler interviewing a semi-retired professional wrestler. When I came across Dallas and what he's doing now, I was absolutely blown away. But before I get into that, let me introduce him to those who don't know who Diamond Dallas Page is. In addition to his 2-decade professional wrestling career, where he was the 3-time world champion, three-time world champion, as he will say, Dallas is an actor, motivational speaker, and fitness instructor. He broke into the wrestling world as a business manager in 1988 before signing with WCW, where, as I said, he went on to be a 3-time world champion. And notice I did say semi-retired. He's been in the ring as recently as 2015, so he's still at it. And that brings me to my next point. Dallas credits his ability to still wrestle to the workout program that he developed, which he calls DDP Yoga. He originally developed DDP Yoga for athletes like himself who had suffered years of injuries due to high-impact sports. He tried yoga for the first time after rupturing 2 discs in his back during the height of his career, and he began mixing in traditional sports therapy and eventually developed DDP Yoga. He's had clients lose hundreds of pounds, overcome debilitating injuries, and reclaim their lives. Absolutely amazing stuff. And more than anything, I'm excited for you to hear his story and some of the stories of the people whose lives that he has transformed. Now, as usual, if you don't have time to listen to the entire episode, make sure you grab the action plan from this episode. Just go to jimharshawjr.com/action. That's jimharshawjr.com/action. Dallas, welcome to the show.
Good to be here, man. Good to be here.
So let's start with this. Tell us how you got your start in wrestling.
Well, I tried wrestling when I was 22, and it didn't work out for me. and I hurt my knee pretty bad. And after like 3 matches, I was on the shelf, and I've been working in the nightclub business since I was 17. And I got my first shot to run my first, I wouldn't call it a shot and beer bar, because it was really it was a small rock and roll bar. But it was a lot of fun, and that's the main reason I became a wrestler, because I was loving it when I was a kid. Was I wanted to make enough money to own my own bar, because I love the bar business. And next thing you know, I was running places since I was 22, and I slipped away from the dream. You got to remember, I'm 60 now, so like that was 78, 79, and then 80. Wrestling started to take off again in the 80s, and I was so mad at myself for not staying in the business and really applying myself that I stopped watching. And then at some point, I got pulled in by Jesse Ventura and Jake the Snake Roberts. And next thing you know, I'm figuring I'm going to go back and try this, but not as a wrestler, because I was 31. So I thought, well, maybe I'll try it, as a manager, a guy who talks for the guys, a character, so to speak. And a lot of guys are really great wrestlers, but not a lot of guys can draw money, and that's how you draw money, is by talking. So I became that mouthpiece. And, for the first 3.5 years I did that, I was lucky enough to do that. It cost me money to be Diamond Dallas Page. And then I finally got the shot to go to WCW. And when they brought me in, between the long blonde hair I had and the crazy clothes I wore, and the the bling and the rap and the Diamond Dolls, they came up to me after like 5 months and like, listen, D, this isn't your fault, but we can't let you manage guys anymore. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? What did I do? What I do wrong? It's like, you're not doing anything wrong. You're just, between everything you got going on, no one's really paying attention to the wrestler. And, so we're going to let you stick as a color commentator. But I was like 4th string color commentator in Moose Breath, Iowa at 4:00 in the morning, So, my longevity there wouldn't have been long. It would have been over before I started, but I had 7 months left on my contract. And I thought, you know what? I never got in this business to be a manager or a color commentator. I got in it because I wanted to wrestle. I wanted to grab the peoples, and take them through a ride. That's, whenever you could take in professional wrestling, you could take someone through the element of doubt. In other words, taking them through a match where they don't know what's real and what's not. And that's where you blur the lines. And I always wanted to do that. And I said, the hell with it. I was 35 and a half years old, and I went down to power plant to learn how to wrestle. And my buddy Michael P.S. Hayes, when I tell him, because I was managing him at the time, what I was going to do, he fell down on the ground laughing, like literally, are you out of your mind? You're never going to be you're too old. Yeah, what I've found, and this will apply to everybody who's listening to your program, is everyone will tell you why you can't do something. Very few people tell you why you can, like you and I do that. But very few people will tell, so yeah, you could do that, and here's why you can do that. They normally go, oh, God, you're too old, you're too young, you're too fat, you're too skinny, you're too you're too tall, you're too small. There's all the reasons why you can't. And I always, I'm a firm believer in, if you say you can or you say you can't, you're right. Do you know who said that originally?
Oh, man, I've heard the quote a million times, and I love it, but I don't remember.
Henry Ford.
Yeah.
And then I say, when I tell people that, I say, but what the hell did he ever do?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
You keep saying I can't do it. I just say you're right. Like, don't even tell me anymore. If you say you can't do it,
sure.
Then now, if you say I can't do it yet,
there you go.
Well, the yet makes that just that one little word, a 3-letter word.
Yeah.
3-letter word will change everything.
Yeah.
But most people just say I can't. As opposed to I'm working on it. Like, that's the inner dialogue you have to have in your head. I'm working on it. If you have to say I can't, if it slips out, say I can't do it yet. And I'm working towards that goal. And I went down to power plant where they trained a lot of the young guys. And I say young, between 19 and 24 were probably the ages. I was 35 and a half.
You're the old timer in the bunch.
Yeah, right. And Triple H, Paul Levesque, who was the head of, senior vice president at WWE, just under Vince McMahon. and one of the best talents ever in our business. He was there with me. He was 20. I was 36 at that time. He was 23. And so he got to see everything that we have to go through to beat up our bodies to learn how to do this crazy thing we call professional wrestling. And I just started to get some sort of momentum about 9 months in, and then I tore my rotator cuff and they let me go. And so many people focus on what negativity came out of that. Like if I would have not torn my rotator cuff and just kept going, I probably never would have got above a bottom of the mid-card guy. Like I could have maybe worked myself up a couple of spots, but once you're seen in that spot for so long, that's how you're, it's all relative. It's like you're seen like wherever the people think you are, then you are, unless you take and you go away. And I left because they weren't going to have me there anyway, but I knew it, so I planned on leaving. And Jake the Snake Roberts came into my life, and he was already in my life, but he came back into it, and he became the mentor that I needed. And he was the smartest human being I think there was, and maybe ever was, in our business when it came to how to tell a story in the ring and in an interview. And Jake would end up taking me under his wing and teaching me. And over that 11-month period, and there's times, I was married at the time, and Kimberly was like, you need to go back in the bar business because you're never going to get that. You're never going to get the job again. They're never going to give you that opportunity again. And, that's the person at the time who was the closest on the planet to me. And I'm like, you need not to let that door hit you on the ass on the way out of here if you don't believe what I'm doing. Like, you have to believe in yourself more than anyone, because even the people who are closest to you, they're worried the most, because you're not in that spot where, you're 36 and a half years old. What makes you think they're going to bring you in here at 37 to be a pseudo rookie, but they did. And mainly they did because of my work ethic, and they could use that as an example, but that's not the only example I want to set.
So, I always tell people you only need one reason why you can succeed. There's a million reasons why you can't succeed. They're internal, they're external, they're circumstantial, whatever the case might be. You only need one reason to believe why you can. If you have one, and we all have one, then that's all you have to believe in. And you're telling me that you had adversity, you had an injury, and those circumstances led to an opportunity. I mean, it probably felt terrible at the time, but they led to an opportunity for you to eventually succeed, right? Because you also, it wasn't just luck. You met the right people. You had found a mentor, and you had the work ethic, and good things happened, right? It was this long journey for you to the pinnacle, but you became the world champion. And
out of that though, like once I finally got my spot back, like I'm at the bottom of the card. I'm the curtain jerker, and they wouldn't really put me on the road that much unless someone got hurt or injured because I wasn't featured. And if you don't wrestle, if you don't play the guitar, if you're in a band, if you play the guitar once in a while, you can learn a song or two, but you never get any good. But if you play all the time, you can become really good. It really applies to everything.
Yeah.
If you really work on your craft, you're going to get better. It may not be immediately, but it's like Richard Dreyfuss says, you can want the fame and the money. You just can't want it first. Like, you got to understand that there's a long road here. And what I figured out when they weren't using me, that I wasn't going to get any better. So I went back down the power plant. And how many people would do that? There's a handful of us who ever did it. Went back down the power plant and started training the young guys. And what I figured out, and it applies to every single thing, the more you teach someone, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better you get. And you never know who's watching. You never know who's watching you work. And I'm in about maybe a year and a half later. I'm like 38. I'm 38 and a half at the time. And I'm in Berlin. and I'm on a tour with Hulk Hogan. I'm still the first match. I'm still the curtain jerker. But when I come out of the ring that night, we're about 5 shows in, as I walk through the curtain, Hulk grabs me and he pulls me over. And he says, "How are you doing it?" I said, "Doing what, Hulk? What did I do wrong?" He goes, "You didn't do anything wrong." He goes, "How are you? I've been watching your matches. And I watch you on TV, but I don't see you that often. I only see you once in a while." He said, "But when I do, I see you hit a new move or you pop up and you get the people involved. You're at the bottom of the card, but you're still getting people involved." He goes, "How are you getting so much better?" And then he tells me the answer. He says, "This is what they're doing with you, right? They're putting you on the road like this because, you're letting you learn your craft." I said, "No, Hulk, that's not it at all." He goes, "Well, how are you doing it then?" I said, "I went back down to power plant where I trained to wrestle, and I've been teaching the young guys there. And again, the more you teach, the more you learn, the better you get." And he goes, "Whatever you're doing, you need to keep doing it. But it's not this year or next year or the year after." He said, "But somewhere down the line, you and I could draw big money together." And he walked away. And that was a huge shot of adrenaline for me. And I just couldn't believe he said he watched my matches, period. Now, if you go 4 years in advance, 4 years, almost to the month, Hogan is on The Tonight Show with Dennis Rodman. And during the interview, Karl Malone from the Utah Jazz and myself come out from the wings, would throw chairs over our heads, throw them on the ground, throw the diamond cutter sides up, and face off and shoot our angle with Jay Leno in the middle of it all. That was the biggest drawing pay-per-view in the history of WCW.
Wow.
And again, Hogan said it 4 years earlier. It manifested this dream into a reality that at that point in my career, I almost, I was riding that tsunami. I didn't even comprehend everything that was happening because it was so fast. And, my career took off when I was 40. By the time I was 41 and 42, which was in 1997 and 1998, I headlined in 13 out of 24 either main events or semi-main events.
Wow.
And that's from obscurity. And then I blew my back out. After I signed a multi-million-dollar 3-year deal, which I had to wrestle to get, I blew my back out. Now we'll say this is the lowest point of my life, because it looks like from 3 different spine specialists tell me I'm done. Like, you're never going to be able to get in there again. You will never be able to perform the same way. You'll be crippled if you try. So once I pulled myself out of my own emotional gravity, I always tell everybody, no one can do more damage to you than you. Nobody.
Yeah.
It's never really what they say. It's how we hear what they say. It's what we say, that story that we start telling ourselves. Because someone can say things, it's how you take it. Someone could take it and go, "Wow, thanks, that's a great compliment." Other guy goes, "Why did you say that to me?" It's like your own emotional gravity will kill you. And once I finally kicked out, because I know that, I just have to apply it. A lot of times it's just applying what you already know. And once I kicked out and started focusing on what was possible, the guy who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga started to do it because I needed it. And I would do anything to get back in that ring. And once I felt a significant difference, I started to add in the rehab stuff, like you said earlier, then the old school calisthenics, then the slow burn movement, which I call dynamic resistance. And completely by accident, I developed a workout that today is not for yogis. It's not for people who do yoga, even though it's called DDP Yoga. It's not called yoga. It's called DDP Yoga or DDPY because I developed it for people who wouldn't be caught dead doing yoga. And they really need some kind. And mine is, if anything, yoga inspired by the movement, the positions, But that's it. After that, it's its own animal. But I developed this thing, DDP, known today as DDP Yoga, that's kick-ass cardio, that dramatically increase your flexibility, strengthen your core like never before with minimal joint impact. In less than 3 months, Jim, I'm back in the ring. At 42, those spine specialists said my career was over. At 43, I was a heavyweight champ of the world.
Yeah.
The oldest crown, because it's like the Oscar, it's like, the U.S. title or the Intercontinental title would be like an Emmy, but when you got the big gold belt, it's like you're the best at what you're doing right now. And you can bring the ratings, you can friggin' pay, put the people, asses in the seats for the pay-per-view in the building and on the pay-per-view, so it's a pretty big deal. And there's never been anyone over 40 that has received that honor for their first time. I was 43, and I would get it 3 more times total. So it's 2 more times after that. But again, it looked like the worst, darkest moment of my life turns out to be the absolute best thing to happen to me, because after I helped heal myself, I started helping others. And I heard Zig Ziglar say many, many years ago, and it has been part of my mantra. It's what I call my It's a Wonderful Life mindset. And the comment is, or the quote is, I believe I can get whatever I want as long as I help enough people get what they want. And in the beginning, when I started this journey for DDP Yoga, I can't convince, because I'm not going to yogis. I'm not going to a yoga studio and doing yoga, because then I'm going to get my own people and I'm going to draw a really awesome crowd. But that's not what I wanted. I'm going, it's like, I think Robert Frost said, he took the path less traveled. There is no path. There was no path. None of these people would be caught dead doing yoga. So I had to knock down one tree at a time and make my own path and change people's lives at an incredible degree, and then make videos about them, and inspire people to believe that they can. And for the first 8 years, it cost me, just like the first 3.5 years with Diamond Dallas Page, it cost me money to be Diamond Dallas Page. I didn't make a dime, but it didn't cost me that much. When I was 8 years into DDP Yoga, the branding of what today is DDP Yoga, I was $548,000 in, hadn't taken a dime. So most people would quit. And, I'm a quote guy because I quote the greatest, smartest people in the world. And Einstein would be that guy who said, it's not that I'm so smart. I just stick with the problem longer. That's me. I'm not going to quit. And, people can think what they want about Donald Trump, and I've had my ups and down views about him and Hillary. I thought, was looking at the both of them, was like, God, this is what we have to choose from. But the bottom line is, Trump should, as far as everyone concerned, had lost that race, but he didn't. Right. Because he never gave up. He never gave up. He never saw her beating him ever. At least he never showed it to anybody, And if he didn't say some stupid things along the way, he'd have crushed her. But he did say some stupid things along the way, But I've never been in his position before, so I might have said some pretty stupid stuff too. I don't know. But, I watched Saturday Night Live last week, and Dave Chappelle, who was ridiculously funny, hosted the show. I don't know if you saw it.
No, I didn't see it, but I heard he hosted.
Yeah, he did an amazing job. But he got to the end, and he said, in all seriousness, he busted everybody's jobs, mainly Trump's. When he got to the end, he said, but you know what? In all seriousness, Donald Trump's our president now. And I'm going to give him a chance. I'm going to give him a chance and see what he does. And I hope he gives us one too. And it's just the way he said it, because, Chappelle can be pretty opinionated.
Sure.
So of all people to say that, I was like, wow. And, and I put it on the end of my Motivational Monday this week. I put it on the end of it. I was talking about, Trump and the situation. You can despise Trump or love him. You have to respect the fact that this guy never quits.
Yeah, and for the listener, you gotta think about, you're facing something in your own life right now where it absolutely looks like you're going to fail. It's not going to happen for you, and you have to realize that. Yeah, it can happen. There's one reason why it can't happen. There's one way to make it happen, and you got to keep believing. You got to keep pushing. That's exactly what he did. He kept pushing.
Yeah,
and
crazy, man.
It is crazy, right? And no matter your politics, you got to understand, like, the guy pushed, and he made something happen. To all of our disbelief, he made something happen. And I remember you talking about your Motivation Monday video, and I actually watched that video this week, and. I love those videos. They're great videos for the listener. We'll talk about how you can find some of those videos in the DDP Yoga app, etc. But I want to go back to, before you became world champion. I remember this. You talked about this maybe a month or so ago in one of your Motivation Monday videos when you were having a conversation with Dusty Rhodes, and you said, hey, I know I'm never going to be like you. I never know I'm going to be a world champion, but how do I get to the next level? You were kind of asking him for some advice. And he stopped you in your tracks. Do you remember that? And can you share that story?
Oh, yeah, dude. It was like, it's probably, one of the most powerful moments, where I just went like, okay. Now, I was venting. Dusty, I would say without Dusty Rhodes, there is no Diamond Dallas Page. Without Jake the Snake Roberts, there's no 3-time world champion. I needed both of those guys to guide me. And Dusty was my business, one of my best friends. Nobody knew the business better than Dream. And so I was venting about, this, the booking committee and never giving me the opportunity. And at some point I said, I know I'm never going to be you or Flair or Hogan. I mean, I know I'm never going to be a world champion, Dream, and he went, shut up. And he had never said that. I guess I was venting too much, but at the moment that he said that, he was mad at me for saying, and I didn't know what at the time. I was like, whoa, okay. And they went, what did you just say? And I said, well, Dream, I know I'm never going to be you or Hogan or Flair. Now, if I started when I was 22, and he goes, no. What did you say after that? And I said, well, I know I'm never going to be a world champion, Dream. He said, then what the hell are you doing it for? And he said, Dallas, if you do not believe that you have the ability to be the world champion, you need to get the hell out of our business right now. And he kept talking, and I don't remember what he said after that because I was looking at my old school phone, with the cord, next, you'd hang the phone up, next to a pad, in case anybody called. And I grabbed that pad, and that legal size pad, and I wrote, I will be the world champion in 5 years or less. It was 4 years, 4 months, and 14 days.
Wow.
So that's the power of writing something down, burning it into your brain. And I didn't even tell anybody that story for a long time, but at some point I started telling people I was going to be the world champion. And they laughed at me like, dude, you're never going to be the world champ. I mean, you're doing great, but you ain't that guy. It's like, you're wrong. What you see and what I see are two different stories. And it works the other way too, because I had a buddy of mine named Eric Watts who I thought was just brilliant. And I just saw him doing so many amazing things, but he never did. So he still is yet to do them. I still believe he has the ability to do them. Now he's 50, but I still believe he has the ability to do them. He just got to have follow through and put the work in and focus and not let anyone else tell you what you can or can't do.
Yeah, I want to go back to something else you said. You said how many people, this was earlier when we were talking, you said You're talking about your work ethic and what you had to push through. You said, how many people would do that? And it's the same thing with writing down your goals. How many people do this, right? Not very many people do it, but you talk to people who have achieved significant success, and most of them have written things down. I've mentioned a story in this show before. I've got a lot of former wrestlers and wrestling people who listen to this show, and I talk about a guy named Kyle Dake, who was a 4-time NCAA champion from Cornell University, won a national championship at 4 different weight classes. First person to ever do this in college wrestling. Yeah, 4 different, went up a weight class every year. But here's the thing, Dallas. His freshman year, he wrote down his goal every morning. NCAA 2000, whatever it was, 2009 or forgot something like that. NCAA champion, such and such weight class, right? And then at night before bed, he wrote the same thing down. And he went on, despite the odds, he went on to win the national championship his freshman year. His sophomore year, he wrote his goals down twice in the morning, twice at night. He went on to win another national championship at a new weight class. Next year, he goes up another weight class, writes his goals down 3 times in the morning, 3 times at night, wins a championship, and then his senior year, 4 times in the morning, 4 times at night. Who does that, right? Who does that? It's borderline absurd, right? It's borderline crazy.
But the guy who won 4 national champions does that.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I was watching see what happens with this kid. He's a hell of a talent. I was watching Showtime where they'll get behind, like this year it was FSU. Last year it was Notre Dame. So you get to see the inner workings of some of the young talent that they have. And I think his name is Deshaun. I can't remember his last name. But he's their quarterback, and the main quarterback who was
Deshaun Watson, maybe hurt. From Clemson, possibly.
No. This is I could be wrong about the first name. He's the quarterback. He's the young freshman quarterback, and there's a lot of amazing freshman quarterbacks this year, which is really freaky. This class that's come out this year, what they can do the next 3 years will be interesting. But this kid, he's a freshman, and what really struck him, besides his talent, for me to watch him. When he was laying in bed, he was being interviewed, talking, and he looked up, and his goals were written on the ceiling, and on paper and taped to the ceiling, so he could see them every morning when he wakes up, every night when he goes to sleep.
Yeah,
like
who does that?
Like that kid does that.
Yeah,
you know?
DeAndre Francois is name. Yeah.
DeAndre, that's it. DeAndre Francois, hell of a talent. But you could see he's got, he was raised right. And he's got that work ethic, and he was, it's tough to be a quarterback. As soon as you get to the D1 schools, it's really tough to be a quarterback because the coach is going to have his foot up your butt, the whole time. And you got to have a certain amount of real tough skin because as a freshman, you ain't going to be the guy you are as a senior, hopefully.
Yep. Right.
But I'll be watching that kid. And, I always say, just don't think it, ink it, write it down, burn it. Like, no one can tell me, I do a lot of people who lose weight, and I say, well, you should write down what you eat. Well, I didn't have anything with me. I said, bullshit. I said, you got your phone? Well, yeah. I go, well, on your phone, there's a memo pad.
Uh-huh.
Write it down. And what I do now is I took it a step farther. I said, write it down before you eat it. Now, if you know it's something you should be eating, write it in, small letters. If it's something you shouldn't be eating, write it in all caps. So now you're telling yourself, and everyone knows if you write like that, you're yelling at you.
Yeah.
You're telling yourself, So if you want to eat that strawberry pie, then eat it. Who cares? At least you made a decision to do that, but don't sit around and wonder why you didn't lose the weight.
Yeah, and so you can't lose weight because whatever your body metabolism, you give other excuses. Yeah, it's up to you, right? And this is living intentionally, whether it's health and fitness, whether it's making money, whether it's relationships, whatever part of your life it is. It's living intentionally, being accountable. You're responsible, good or bad. You're responsible for it, right?
Absolutely. And a lot of people don't want to take responsibility. They don't want to take. I have certain friends of mine, and I really don't hang out with them that much anymore because it's always someone else's fault. It's how often do you hear someone say, okay, that was my fault. That's my bad. I'm going to fix that. So many times people they want to blame it on everyone else because it can't be them. And a lot of times, it's probably both, situation, but it's not about how many times I fall down. It's how many times you get back up again and just keep going. And you're going to fall down, fall forward and get back up. But a lot of people just want to swallow down there, and like pity party. And sometimes we all have to do that, but then you have to figure out how to kick out.
Yeah, and you talk about
you don't want to get good.
Well, yeah, you talk about surrounding yourself with the right people. It's I've got a 4-week program I run with folks called Reveal Your Path, and that's the third part is I call it the environment of excellence, and we get really clear about who are you surrounding yourself by, and it's hard sometimes. You got to cut these relationships either out of your life or minimize their impact on your life, but again, being intentional about who you spend your time with is either going to lift you up or pull you down.
Absolutely. My buddy Mark Merrill always says, we become the 5 people we hang out most with. And if those people are negative, if you're trying to lose weight and all you do is hang out with your buddies, or we go to this pizza place and then we go get these pies, and then, we don't really work out and we don't hang out, and, do anything. Then we talk about people, then we go to the movies, then we go eat. Well, you're never going to get yourself right. And the bottom line is once you start to, those people are going to turn on you anyway, because that's what happens. And why it happens is just human behavior, because people, when someone starts getting really successful, whether it's we all start as bottom guys, in the wrestling world, and one guy gets popped up and he starts to get that push. Well, everybody else gets pretty pissed off because it's not them. When it comes to someone losing weight, well, how can that person lose 100 pounds? I can't lose 5. So, a really profound statement. I have this guy, his name is Brian King, and talked about him a few times at an upcoming, I have it written down, but I'll definitely want to talk about him in an upcoming Motivational Monday, because I believe it was March 13th, he started my program. He's 450 pounds. He sent me an email 2 weeks ago. He just broke 300. He's 298.
Wow.
And all the time, his buddies, because they don't understand how he's doing it. And he tells them, but they're not listening. And the bottom line is they say to him, you deserve a cheat day. And when he said this, I was like, okay, this is really profound. He said, I've cheated myself for the last 32 years of my life. I'm done cheating myself.
Wow.
That's a powerful line, man. The guy's 32.
Yeah.
I'm done cheating myself.
Yeah.
Wow.
That sentence will change his life. And
it'll change others, because someone will click into that.
Yep.
And when they see his videos, we'll do a video on him. We'll tell a story. When Arthur Borman's video went out there, disabled vet, I helped lose 140 pounds, but more importantly, helped him lose the knee braces, the back brace, and the wraparound canes, not just to walk, but to run. The whole thing with Arthur was he just wanted to lose 50 pounds when he started with me. That's a good goal, If you need to lose 100 and something, you just want to lose 50 pounds. Let's set yourself up to win. And he mainly wanted to lose the 50 pounds so the doctors could operate on his knees, because he was 5'6" and 297. So the doctors aren't going to work with him. They're not going to even operate on him. The VA docs aren't going to operate on him until he loses the weight. So that's the goal. So when he starts my program, the first month, he lost 32 pounds. The second month, he lost 22 pounds. The third month, he lost 18 pounds.
Wow.
That's 72 pounds in 3 months.
Jeez.
Like I said, he would go on to lose 140, but the bottom line is, as incredible is the fact that he lost the knee braces, the back brace, and the canes. The incredible fact is he's never had his knees operated on.
He never needed to after that. Is that right?
Because he healed himself, not just with my workout, but with the food. And I tell people all the time, oh, I eat healthy. Oh, really, what do you eat? As soon as they open their mouth, they go, no, you don't. Because you don't even know what GMOs are, genetically modified food. And then some people go, oh, I know what that is. I go, what'd you have for lunch today? And they tell me, I go, you ate them. You've been eating them for the last 20 years. In the last 20 years, heart disease, cancer, diabetes, autism, and obesity have gone through the roof. There is one thing that we do every day that's changed, just one, and it's the food we put in our mouths.
Yep. And
people need to get smart to it. Like this guy, I have this all in my program to show people, because I don't care if you're trying to lose weight, if you want to do Weight Watchers or go GMO free, I don't care. You do it, pick whatever you want. I always say make the DDPY your own, meaning the workout, but also make the food plan whatever you want. I don't care. You want to go paleo, go paleo. You want to do a calorie counting, do calorie counting. I don't care. You're going to feel better no matter what. But if you want to feel better in the way that you start to heal yourself, that's food. And there's no doctor. There's one doctor that I know, one, and I know a lot of doctors that will tell you the food will heal you. She's the smartest doctor I know. And she's the most educated, because doctors don't want to hear food will heal you. They want to hear prescription.
Yeah,
will
money.
Heal you.
Right.
Yeah, money. Right.
There's an amazing example of not only you taking somebody through your program and helping them heal through your program through DDP Yoga, but also the modifying their diet and modifying their life. And it's the documentary that you made, The Resurrection of Jake the Snake, which is absolutely, it's incredible. And I'll be honest, Dallas, when I got the video, when I got the movie, I was like, I'm going to watch maybe 10 minutes of this. I don't sit down and watch TV. I don't watch movies. I don't watch TV. And I got 10 minutes into this thing. I got 90 minutes later, I get up, my jaw's on the floor. I'm not kidding, because I was absolutely blown away. So for the listener who hasn't seen it, can you give us just give them sort of a 50,000-foot view of what took place from the beginning end of that documentary and the transformation of Jake the Snake?
Anybody who knows Jake the Snake Roberts, whether they know him from being a kid in the 80s or whatever, they know he was a very dark character, and he had a lot of bad shit happened to him when he was a kid, and that'll carry over with you from year to year to year until you stop telling yourself that story. And Jake, you heard me say it earlier, without Jake, I'm never a 3-time world champion. So I always wanted to pay him back. And I knew what my program could do to help someone. And Jake, I didn't know how beat up and brittle he was at the time, but I'd reached out to him, and he told me he'd try it. And I know what that means, just trying to get me off the phone. But once I went down to see him, I told him, I said, dude, if you put the work in, he was up to 300. And at that point, he was about 299 when I probably went to see him. But when he started, he was 307 pounds. And I told him, if you can get down 20 pounds, I'll move you to Atlanta, and I'll move you in with me. Now, Jake was he was waiting to die. He was living in a shack, and his life was not, it was as dark could be. And
yeah, it was bad. I watched the movie. It was bad.
Yeah, it was bad. And he lost the 20 pounds. I brought him to Atlanta, and we went on this journey of the resurrection of Jake the Snake. And how this journey went, like as soon as I talked to him and he agreed to come, and he said he was going to lose the weight and he was going to prove it to me. And I told my buddy Moser, my buddy Moser had seen him like 3 months before, and Jake was just, so mean to the fans, and because he hated himself. You got to love yourself before you love anybody. And Jake just, had a lot of shame and just hated himself. And so he had seen where he was, the dark side that he was on. And he was like, wow, D, if you could really do that, that would be like the resurrection of Jake the Snake. Now, you talk about writing something down. I haven't even gone to Gainesville, Texas, which is right outside Dallas, Texas. I haven't even gone there yet, but I've already named the movie. And it's not Jake's going to be okay. It's like the resurrection. There's only one other guy I know that resurrection goes with, and everybody knows what you're talking about.
Right.
So it was a pretty profound statement, but it was written down everywhere. And then we go on this journey, and my buddy Steve Yu, who's our the director on it, who pieced everything together and told the story. Hell, we had 500 hours of footage, 500, and he made 93 minutes. And I can't tell you how many times we sat around my office or our office, and I said, "Dude, you think anybody's ever going to see this movie?" Because Jake fell so many times that, who believed that he could actually really stay, get sober. And the longer it went, the more I questioned it. And then at some point, every time he fell, it seemed like he learned something. And again, failures, right? Your TED Talk. It's all about your failures and how you overcome your failures. I always tell people failures are not bad, mistakes are not bad as long as you learn from them. Right. And in Jake's scenario, there was a point where it started to change, how he just started to think. And I got him to understand he had to change the story he tells himself. And then we finished the movie. He ends up in the Hall of Fame, which is like people would say, when is Jake's movie going to be done? I said, I don't know. When is he going to be in the Hall of Fame? Because he was banned. Him and Scott Hall both were banned from the WWE.
And Scott was in the movie too. For the listener, Scott Hall was in the movie.
Right, because he was going through the same thing, only different.
Right.
And it was like, when will he ever get in there? I don't know. But my goal was leaving his house. If he comes and really does this, then our goal is not to get in the Hall of Fame this year, but the next year, which is what it was. And I said it on stage. Our goal 18 months ago to be on this place, on this very stage. And boom, we're there. It's my 58th birthday. They're both going in, which was better than me going in at the time. So it was a remarkable journey. Right now, we are the second highest rated sports doc on Netflix. Yeah. And they are the best sports docs ever, counting all the 30 for 30 ones.
Right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, which is fantastic.
So for us to be the second highest, it's unbelievable. And we're the number one biopic.
And for the listener, I'll tell you.
Right now, number one right now.
I don't watch movies. I enjoy movies. I have higher priorities in my life. This is one I would recommend to anybody. And I've got a family member who is struggling with addiction, so a lot of that stuff really struck home with me. But even if you don't, it is just a journey of how of going from the lowest place you can possibly be to a resurrection. I mean, his life was completely transformed. But you showed the dirty middle, the hard, the failures, the struggle, the adversity. It wasn't like, he lost the 20 pounds, you moved him to Atlanta, and everything was, Cinderella story after that. It was far from it, right? I mean, you show when you found him in the airport with his shoes off and just, all these setbacks. But that's life, right? That's life. We look at the world and we see people, if nobody knew that story, we'd see, Jake had a great career and then he got, inducted to the Hall of Fame. And we don't see the messy middle, right? But there's an ugly middle, and it's hard, and your ugly middle is different than my ugly middle, is different than Jake's, and it's different from the listener. But it's the struggle is there for everybody, and this is a great story to really show you not only that struggle is real for even the most successful people, but it's also a powerful story about DDP Yoga because it is amazing. And Dallas, I don't do yoga. I've done DDP Yoga. It's cool, man. I love doing a variety of workouts. I swim, I run, I wrestle, I do lift weights, I mountain bike, you name it. I've incorporated some DDP yoga, and it's been really it's fantastic. I love it. I've got some old injuries. I'm an old wrestler, and it's great. It's great for a guy like me, and it's great for, I think, a lot of listeners would really like it too. Where can they find it?
Well, everything's at ddpyoga.com. Some people just want DVDs. Some people just want the app. Some people want both. And it's a time of getting everybody psyched up. No one's more jacked up than they are this time of year coming in, because I guess I don't understand. Me and you, guys like me and you, don't really understand. Well, it's a new year. I've got to start all over again. It's like, I start all over again today.
Right now.
Doesn't matter. Well, right this second, let's start all over again. Like, I was in a worse mood this morning because of a series of things, and I thought to myself, okay, let's change it now. Like, just change it. Like, change my state of mind. And there it went, and then I was, that was over that.
The important part is you were aware. You were aware that you were having that mindset, right? And then you can shift it. Yeah. You can actually physically manifest a different mindset if you're aware. You have to be aware of the self-talk that's going on in your mind, and when you are, you can change it. You can decide to change it. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but you can when you're aware of it.
No, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it.
Sure.
If it was easy, everybody would be shredded.
Yeah.
Everybody would be wealthy. Everybody would seem like it's so easy, but it's not.
Right.
If it's worth it, it's hard. If it's easy, it's not worth it anyway.
Yep.
If anything is too easy, nobody appreciates.
I agree with that.
That's where I always I steal the line from Tom Hanks in the movie. What was that movie about the girls who played baseball?
Yeah.
League of Their Own.
League of Their Own, yeah.
At one point, he looks at Gina Davis and he said, "Of course it's hard. It's the hard that makes it great."
Yeah.
Yeah. And really, that's what it is.
Got all
if
kind
you
of
look
great
at my
quotes.
journey, man, it was hard. It was really hard, but that's why I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, and that's
why I thank everybody.
My journey as a wrestler. When I finally got on the podium at the national championships, I didn't get on the podium in high school. I failed there. I failed my first 3 years in college, but finally getting on the podium in front of 14,000 people in the arena, it was it made it so much more of a powerful experience. It's those failures, those dark days that make the success all that much more valuable. So, Dallas, with that in mind, what's an action? My listeners like to get an actionable item. What can they do other than checking out DDPY Yoga? DDPY. I'm going to have links to that in the action plan. JimHarshawJr.com/action for listener. That's like a 2-page PDF that I'm writing up about this episode. Get all the quotes, all the action items from this action plan. I'm going to have links to DDPY and everything we reference here. But what, Dallas, can the listener do in the next, let's say, 24 to 48 hours? What action can they take to start moving toward their goals?
Well, I think no matter what, they need to surround themselves with positive talk. And that could be your program. That could be watching. Go. If you got Netflix, watch I'm Not Your Guru, Tony Robbins.
Right.
He's one of the guys who I consider one of my mentors in my business world. Even though I've only met him once, me and him are going to be doing business. He will be partners with DDP Yoga in some sort. He just doesn't know it yet.
I love it. You heard it here first, folks.
Forever. But watch that. Watch the resurrection of Jake the Snake. Then go through a list. To write down a list of the positive things that are in your life and the negative things. And then of the negative things, how could you change them? Sometimes you have to get away from a group of people and start to hang around with the people that are most like you want to be. Like Tony said it in his movie, I'm Not Your Guru. He said, I created Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Because there was no Tony Robbins. I created him. And I thought, I created Diamond Dallas Page. And I did, from A to Z, from everything I wanted to be. And, I say this, my wife's just sitting next to me now. She makes me want to be better. You need to surround yourself around people who make you want to be better. Not that really don't give a damn. Oh yeah, do what you want to do. You know, I want to be around people that who challenge me to be better. But that's me, you know? So, again, that's who I decided I was.
You got to do that intentionally.
I live that. Yeah. So those are some good things right there. And I'll tell you what, if on the food side, watch Food Inc. Watch Genetic Roulette. Really important.
Okay. I'll have the link to that in the action plan for listener as well. Dallas, thanks so much, man. Buddy. What a great episode, chock full of lessons and great quotes and advice. Thanks so much. Promote yourself a little bit. Tell us where we can find you, links, apps, etc.
Anybody wants, the Twitter thing, of course, is humongous. I am on it all the time, at Real DDP, at DDP Yoga. I always tell people, don't listen to a word I have to say about DDP Yoga. I got enough people talking about it. Go on Twitter. Read what people write. It will blow your mind. I actually went on to my ddpyoga.com site where everything is, and we have all our success stories. We have people who are under construction, as I call it. But what I started to do is I started to take tweets from people who say, oh my God, DDP, this program has changed my life. And then they talk about it in their 140 characters, or saved my life. Or I used to have pain for 15 years. I woke up in pain. Today, I'm not. You know what I mean? Stories like that. I got one after another that deals with pain and, unbelievable weight loss. Again, this is never a weight loss program. This is about healing your body. You heal your body, you heal your mind. Your body feels like garbage, you feel like garbage. Your body feels good. You like the way you feel good about the way you look. You don't have to be shredded. Just feel healthy, feel fit. That's enough. But don't listen to what I have to say about DDP Yoga. There's a top 10 list. They call it the top 10. So Google it. They put home workouts next to it. And Insanity, or P90X, will be number 3 with 70-some comments. Insanity will be number 2 with like 90-some comments. DDP Yoga will be number 1. There are over 900 comments. And they're not one line. They're paragraphs. You can't make people do that. You just can't. And, so I got enough people talking about what we do. Our Facebook, DDP Yoga, one word. That's not the corporate one. It's just it's a members only. If you like it, they'll like you back, and you'll be able to come on and check it out. But it's over 11,000 people helping people. That's what DDP Yoga's community is about. Helping other people to believe in themselves. Because I always say, never underestimate the power you give someone by believing in them. All right, buddy. Great talking to you.
End it with that.
Time.
We'll
do it again.
Yeah, excellent. That's excellent stuff. It's a great place to end. And for the listener, until next time, take the time to get clear on your goals and embrace failure as a stepping stone on your path to success.